So welcome to another video in our additional mathematics series. So this is another examination question that came in the exam. You can see even the mark, allocation that was there. So I just wanted to actually show you how you can basically go about that. So it says the curve. In fact, I've just eliminated what is redundant here. So it says the curve meets the straight line at P. So you can see the curve with that equation, y is equal to the root, then 3x plus 3 inside. Then it says the gradient of the line is 1. So the gradient of that line is equal to 1. And if you notice, be observant, it actually passes through the origin, meaning 0, 0. Then the question there says that find 1, that is A1. They want us to find the equation of the line OP. So the word P is there where the two curves are intersecting. So find the equation of the line OP. Remember they told us that the gradient of the straight line is 1. So meaning M is equal to 1. It actually becomes even easy. Why? Because we know this line is passing through the origin, which is 0, 0. Now, of course, the equation of a straight line says, the general form says y is equal to mx plus what? Plus c. Now if you notice, because it is cutting the y-axis at 0, meaning the y-intercept is equal to 0. So right away you would have said y, my gradient is 1. So if you say 1 times x plus my intercept is a 0, so it will be y is equal to 1 times x is just x, of course, plus 0, meaning that the equation of the straight line would be that. But of course, if you are not so comfortable, what you can simply do, you can simply substitute the value here, these values, this is your x and that's your y, into that. So my y is 0 is equal to find the y-intercept, my gradient is 1, but my x is 0 plus c. So it will be 0 is equal to 1 times 0 is a 0 plus c. So meaning c is equal to 0. You have seen. So once you find that c is 0, you can just now replace in this one your gradient and your y-intercept. Gradient is 1, but 1 times x plus my y-intercept, which is 0. So it just gives us y is equal to x. So that is why I told you that. So sometimes you don't even need to start wasting time doing this. You just need to look at, for the y-intercept, just look at where the line is cutting the y-axis, pick up that value if you're able to see it. That gives you the y-intercept. So that's the equation of the line OP, or the straight line we have been given. All right. I hope we're together. Let's move on to A2 and see what we can do. It says the coordinates of the point P. So they want us to find the coordinates of the point P. Now we have established so far that the equation of that straight line is y is equal to x. So to find the coordinates of the point P, remember, with the straight line and the curve might be meeting at 2 points, so you need to solve them simultaneously. So what I'm going to do, I know y is equal to x for the straight line, and for the curve y is equal to the root of 3x plus what? 4. I can just substitute and replace where there's y because I want to solve them simultaneously. So it simply means that I can say x is equal to, then I'll simply say it is 3x plus 4. Now remember, to get rid of this square, you can introduce the square root, you need to introduce a square. What I do this side, I will do it the other side. So it will be x squared is equal to 3x plus what? Plus 4. Then you can collect the like, we can get the terms to one side. This is x squared. When this goes the other side, it will be 3x minus 4 is equal to 0. So this gives you a trinomial, a quadratic equation, so you can solve it. So remember, you can do product, sum and factor, or you can simply use the quadratic formula to solve for the value of x, so that you can know where they're intersecting. But of course, quickly, the product, remember the coefficient of x squared, which is 1 times negative 4, that will give us a negative 4, and the sum is a negative 3. So here the factors, that's product, sum, these factors, you need to look for two numbers. When you multiply, they'll give you negative 4, but when you add the same numbers, they'll give you, in this case, negative 3, which is simply negative 4 and 1. Now once you get your factors, it's very simple. If the coefficient of x squared is 1, you don't need to waste time. Just grab these factors and say x minus 4. I've used this one. Then the other one will be x plus 1 is equal to 0. Then we can equate each bracket to what? To 0, so that we can find x. So x minus 4 is equal to 0, or x plus 1 is equal to 0. So x here, when it goes the other side, it will be a positive 4. Or x is equal to, when it goes the other side, it will become a negative 1. Now, once you get this, because they told us to find the coordinates, I need to know the corresponding values of y. So how is it going to be? Let's try to do it. So I'm going to say, when I can simply say that when x, in fact, if you notice, I can actually reject this one right away. So I can reject it. Why? Negative is simply this side, but of course I know the value of x should be positive, so I'll just get this one. This is the value that you need. So I'm going to say when x is equal to 4, what would be the value of y, which you don't know? So you can use any of the equation. I'll use the simplest there, which is y is equal to x. So since x is a 4, it simply means that when you replace there, your y is going to be 4. So therefore, the coordinate for that point is simply when x is 4, y will also be 4. So it is simply 4, 4. In simple terms, at that point it is actually 4, and at that point, that side, it is also a 4. So that is what that actually entails, and you get your 3 marks, so you didn't need to do a whole lot. Let's come to this question that was actually carrying 6 marks and see how you can actually answer it. Hopefully we are moving together. Please, you can still pause my video and actually try to solve it also. If you like what I do, please, you can press that like button, or you can subscribe, so that in case I produce new videos, you are the first one to be notified. Let's look at the B part there. So according to the B part there, it says calculate the volume generated in terms of pi when the shaded region is rotated 360 about the x-axis, so as to form a solid revolution. Well, again, I just eliminated, because of my space, I eliminated what is redundant. But the idea is that they want us to find the volume when this shaded region is rotated 360 about the x-axis. Now, when you have got two curves, in this case, you want to find the volume between two curves or between a line. This method is what we simply call as being the washer. So we call it as being the washer method. It is simply an extension of the disk method that I talked about in my previous video. That's what we mean. All right, I wish I could actually draw it. I would have drawn a straight line in this direction and the curve and showed that it has rotated. So this is what we call the washer method. Now, how do we solve the volume when you have got two? Now, the whole idea is that the volume is simply going to be given by, in this case, if you want, we can remove out our pi because it's a constant. So you look at your lower limit to be 0 and the upper limit to be 4 because it is rotated along the x-axis. So it will be 0 to 4. Now what you're going to do there is very simple. You can get the function. Let me say that you can get the upper. Remember, the one that is on top of the other, this one is actually on top, meaning that it is actually greater than the equation of the straight line. So you start with the one that is above the other, which is that of the curve minus that one. So I'm going to say you're going to get the curve. Okay, let me just give you a simple definition, so to say. If you have got, for example, two curves, let me say that you have that. So this one is maybe, let me say, the function f, and this one at the bottom is the function g, and you want to find the volume when it is rotated about the x-axis. So what we do, because this one is on top, so we are going to say the function f of x, but this should be raised to the power 2. You subtract the lower function, in this case, which is g of x, but raised to the power 2 with respect to x, because we are rotating it. That's the idea that we are doing there. So in simple terms, what I'm going to do is that from 0 to 4, so which one is the upper function? It is simply the square root of 3x plus 4, this raised to the power 2, minus, again you get the lower function which we found y is equal to x, so it will just be x, but this raised to the power 2. So whatever that we are going to get from here, we integrate it with respect to dx. That's what we mean. Hopefully you followed that one. V is equal to pi, so this, when I square it, this and that will cancel. I'll simply remain with 3x minus plus 4 minus, if I look at this one, that is going to be x raised to the power 2, and that now with respect to dx. So now when you read at that point, you can simply now you can simply try to actually try to integrate that. That's what we meant, so you can integrate. So now when I integrate that, so volume will be equal to pi, so that is, remember I told you integrate individually, so 3x you add, there's a 1, so plus 1, so it will become 3x squared, divide by the new power, which is a 2. If it's just a number, you give it a letter, so it will be 4x. This one will go to x to the power 3 divided by the new power. Then we use the lower and the upper limit. So basically that is what we are going to do. All right, now when you look at this one here, let me just try to clean up the top part section so that I can just go back a little and create more space there. So when we replace the upper limit here, so the volume will be equal to pi. It is going to be, where there's x we put up a 4, so it will be 4 raised to the power 2 but divided by 2 plus 4 multiplied by 4, then that will be minus 4 raised to the power 3 over 3. Now this is the upper limit. If you notice for the lower limit, the moment you substitute here 0, 0, 0, it will just give you 0. So you can just ignore that because it will give you a 0. So just ignore it in the exam because you're wasting time. So we try to work out that 4 raised to the power 2 is 16. 16 times 3, that should be 48. 48 divided by 2, that will give us simply a 24 plus this times that will give us 16 minus, then 4 raised to the power 3, that should be 64. 4 raised to the power 3, that is 64. So it is going to be 64 over 3. So the next thing that we are going to do now is simply, you can work out that using a calculator. You can simply 24 plus 16, that is 40. So I can just say 40 minus 64 over 3. What is that giving me? It is simply giving me, so that would be pi. It is giving me 56 over 3. So this times that, our volume will be 56 over 3 pi. And of course, you can say cubic units, or you can change it to a decimal, which is simply going to be 18.7 then pi. Remember, they wanted you to write in terms of pi, but don't forget to write cubic units. So you can either leave it as a fraction like that, or you can change it to a decimal, but they told you in terms of pi. So basically this is the way you can do it. For the love of mathematics, watch out for some more additional mathematics videos I'll be able to produce, so that at least you can learn. I'll be looking at some examination questions and how you can simply go about that. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Watch out for some more. If you want, you can watch out my physics, chemistry, and also biology videos, and also the ordinary mathematics, so that you can actually get to learn more. Thank you so much for watching.